YouTube, what is going on? It's the best time of the year. We just got through Thanksgiving. It's about to be Christmas season. So what better a time to release the top 15 players on Xbox Modern Warfare 3. If you're new around here, this is a long-standing tradition, the 4th year running actually, where I seek through the community and find the best players still playing my favorite game, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and we go ahead and rank them here for you today. Now, in the previous years that I've done this list, Xbox has actually been the most flawed platform. In 2018, there was a backwards compatibility update for Modern Warfare 3 that allowed Xbox One and Series X users to play the 360 games. That included Modern Warfare 3 along with the other Call of Duties, but it broke the matchmaking system on MW3, and finding other players was very difficult. This year, with the acquisition of Call of Duty to the Microsoft team, those matchmaking problems have been fixed, and the game is currently in its best state since probably close to release. So even though it's cool that Modern Warfare 3 has been fixed, how can we say that the players that are still playing the game are worth ranking? In order to properly answer that question, we're going to take a history on Modern Warfare 3 Pxbstomping here at the beginning of the video. And if you're only interested in the current ranking of the players, I'm going to leave a timestamp for you so you can just jump right to that portion of the video. But for those of you guys interested, let's take a deep dive into evaluating why the current players playing this game are probably the best that the game has ever seen. Unlike current Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3 does not have strict skill-based matchmaking. It's basically peer-to-peer connections, and your ping is your priority within matchmaking. With Modern Warfare 3, there wasn't a built-in competitive setting like there was in Black Ops 2, so players used GameBattles.com. Ever since COD 4, Game Battles has been a great way for competitive COD players to find each other and put together wagers or competitive matches. Despite the years of LAN tournaments and competition, the first official Call of Duty championship was after MW3 in 2013 for COD Black Ops 2. So Modern Warfare 3 is this unique time where there's not an official Call of Duty sanctioned event for this. So it's either the people who put together their own tournaments or the other side of the gaming, which is Pxbstomping. So just like I said, outside the competitive scene underlied a much more popular and perhaps more influential scene for the time, which was Pxbstomping. Unlike competitive teams which banded together and took on other teams in head-to-head matches through private match or LAN, Pxbstomping teams took to public match and would assemble to produce the highest score lines against random lobbies that they found through matchmaking. Pxbstomping found a huge popularity in COD early on, and perhaps one of the earliest examples of Pxbstomping can be seen through the sniping community. As early as COD 4, sniping teams would assemble to find their best players who can go into the game and get consistent feeds and also to get content for montages. Modern Warfare 3, however, was revolutionary in the fact that it implemented a clan system through its COD Elite marketing. COD Elite was a drip feed content system that let the DLC content that was coming after the game's release keep the game fresh. Within COD Elite, there was detailed statistics, there was a breakdown of your performance and your best matches, but maybe the coolest part about COD Elite was the fact that you could be recruited by other clans who were looking for players, and a lot of times those clans were geared towards Pxbstomping. So now Pxbstompers could easily connect with each other to try for insane scorelines and accomplishments, and YouTube played a big factor in being an outlet for these gameplays. Teams like Overpowered, who were headed by Insomulus and Benny Central, took to YouTube to post their best scorelines. They were doing some insane stuff for the time, like solo triple Moabs. And to make a quick distinction here, whereas competitive teams always played together, they always had their accomplishments together, Pxbstomping teams operated differently. There were times where all members would play together and go for specific team-based accomplishments, but generally, when one player accomplished something, they accomplished it for the team. In that sense, it was both an accomplishment for the player and an accomplishment for the team. Now that we've covered in depth what Pxbstomping is, what are the best Pxbstomping accomplishments for Modern Warfare 3 specifically? The first thing to note is that there's 6v6 and 9v9 on the game. In my opinion, 6v6 is much more impressive than 9v9. There's arguments for both sides, but the way I see it, for the more extreme accomplishments, having less players on the map means that you have to work harder for the accomplishment. So ranking those accomplishments, we'll start with the solo Moab. With Modern Warfare 3, there's the support killstreak package. Within that package, there's UAV, advanced UAV, and ballistic vest. There's recon drone, friendly EMP, There's lots of ways where other players can help you get a Moab. But when you leave all those off the table and you go to randomness, a solo Moab is pretty impressive. Next we have double Moabs, sub 100 second Moabs, so this would be considered a double digit Moab, a solo double Moab, a triple Moab with a team, a solo TDM double, a sub 60 second Moab, solo triple Moabs, a quad, penta, or hexa Moab with a team, and then the holy grail of MW3 Pxbstomping would be a solo quad. So after detailing the most impressive things a player on Modern Warfare 3 can do, we're going to take a look at why they're more impressive now. That gameplays in the current year are more impressive than the gameplays of old because of the current landscape of video games as a whole. I think that's because gaming now has changed a lot over the last decade. Looking back, MW3 came out during a very pure time in gaming. Headsets were uncommon, very few players had monitors, and secondhand controllers had copious amounts of input lag. Even more so, on console, there was an absence of input-altering devices. I'm talking about devices like the Cronus Max, which allow for the use of scripts, and also devices like the Zim, which allow for the use of keyboard and mouse on unsupported games. I'm going to go ahead and insert a clip from the YouTuber Ozric. What he says really sums up the advantage of these devices. The clip that you're going to see is from 2015, and this really solidifies the time period when these started to emerge.
You also have other hardware, like you're able to use a mouse and keyboard on consoles now. You're also able to use USB attachments onto your controller, which basically, if you don't know, also allows you to run scripts. I found this out recently. Apparently, this USB attachment allows you to run a script where you can even reduce or remove, I shouldn't say remove, you can reduce the recoil on your guns.
So the devices that Ozric was speaking of would definitely be considered cheating. They are third-party devices that alter your input to give you an advantage on the game. But there are also advantages that aren't technically cheating. A lot of these are first-party devices, like the Microsoft Elite Controller. The Elite Controller is a first-party device that allows you to modify dead zones, your sensitivity, the height of your analog stick can be adjusted, and the controller adds extra paddles and buttons on the back for easy mapping. There's also devices like the NetDuma, which is a router that can help you filter lobbies based on your location, which can prevent skill-based matchmaking in games that do have it, but the Duma forces your game to operate under a strict connection limit, and this can be a huge advantage for any game, because ping oftentimes is king. There really is no direct comparison between the scene that Modern Warfare 3 had when it first released versus the community that it has now. The point I am trying to make, though, is the baseline skill for the average player has increased dramatically. Today's gamers have better access to faster internet, better audio, and better equipment, both first-party and cheating devices, and I believe this makes the accomplishments of today's players more impressive than those of old. Alright, with all that being said, it is time to move on to the list. So we're just going to briefly cover the criteria for placement here on the list. I want to say right now, this is all a matter of opinion. I'm a COD player of 12 years. Most of that has been on Modern Warfare 3. Modern Warfare 3 was my first COD. I know what a good player is because I am a good player. My best accomplishments are an 82-second Moab and a double on every single platform. So I'm not the best player on the game, but I certainly know what it takes to be a good player. You guys probably have your own opinions on some of the players being ranked here, but I hope that you respect mine, and I hope that you guys can be civil about everything in the comment section. So starting here at the top, at number 1 we have performance versus other strong players. Number 2 is gameplay quality. Solo would be best in this scenario. Gameplay count, so how many doubles, triples, how many fast mobs you have. Number 4 would be performance with non-meta weapons. Off-meta weapons can include anything from a SCAR to a P90. I would say the meta weapons are the ACR, MP7, PP90, L86 for the LMGs probably, and then, depending on how you view it, the MK14 is really strong. At number 5, we have gameplay with controller as opposed to keyboard or mouse. This is not a big criteria on this list. It was in years back. If you're a good player, you're a good player. Controller is obviously the native input, and keyboard or mouse does have aim assist, so it does play a factor. It does make things easier. But on this list in particular, there's not too much weight placed on that difference. At number 6, we have consistent performance, so you're not a streaky player. This is something I fall short of as a player. Basically, just being consistent means that you can Moab consistently every single day. You're constantly top fragging, you're constantly doing, the best on your team. Consistent performance is definitely really important. And then here at number 7, we have aggressive playstyle over passive or defensive playstyle. It really doesn't play that much of a factor on this list, just because if you're on this list already, you can do everything else. Like, you have good gameplay quality, you have good gameplay count. Just in the different ranks between these top players, I do value players who have a more aggressive playstyle a little bit more. But that is the top 7 criteria. I've done enough yapping. Let's go ahead and jump into our number 15 player. Coming in at the number 15 spot, we have Netflix. Net is one of the few people featured on this list that has a triple Moab. He's known for his accuracy and his aggressive play style. A lot of the times that he does play, he's just a really good teammate. A lot of times he'll just run support, but his callouts are really strong. Overall, he's a really good teammate and a really good player. He's probably one of the most improved players within the community. So shout out to Net, and he's going to take our number 15 spot here. At the number 14 spot, we have Divine Dreams. Divine has more of a reserved playstyle, but he has really great accuracy and spawn knowledge, and he gets a lot of gameplays. He's very consistent, so he takes the number 14 spot here on our list. Coming in here at the number 13 spot, we have Jaker. A lot of people throughout the community have a lot to say about Jaker, but when it comes down to it, he's a strong 9v9 player, and he has a lot of accomplishments. One of the main reasons why I'm putting Jaker where he is on the list is because he's got a lot of accomplishments with variety. He has a handful of shotgun Moabs, he uses off-meta weapons, and while his playstyle is very slow, he has a lot of double Moabs, and he's a very good player. Overall, he's very deserving of his top 15 spot, and he sits at number 13 on this list. At the number 12 spot, we have Dude Dreams. Dude is a very smart player, and probably one of the smartest people on the list, and it really translates into his playstyle. He's mastered both support and specialist, makes really good rotations, and he prides himself on being good without Stalker. If you know anything about Modern Warfare 3, you have to have good accuracy to be good without Stalker. For those reasons, he's at number 12 here on this list. At the number 11 spot, we have It's Droppy. Droppy's just a well-rounded player who's been on Xbox and PlayStation 3 for a long time. From what I know, he has a triple on PlayStation 3. He's always partied up with a good team. You never want to face Droppy's 3 or 4 man. He's a very good player, and that's why he's at the number 11 spot here on the list. Alright, we're about to jump into the top 10, but before we get to our number 10 spot, I'm going to throw up a graphic here. This is to honor the retired players from Modern Warfare 3. These are the players that have played after the backwards compatibility update in 2018, and were mentioned previously on other lists, but they have just not been active enough to be placed on this year's list. So shout out to these OGs. Hopefully some of you guys come back in the future. But all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the number 10 spot, which is V Mori. So Mori was new to the scene last year. He played a lot of Infected. The game was pretty dead when he came back, but he quickly showed after the revival of the game how talented he actually is. He has a run and gun playstyle, which helps him get a lot of fast gameplays. He has some really fast Moabs and Moab fails. He also got his first double this year, so for those reasons, I have him at the number 10 spot. At the number 9 spot, we have Panther God. Panther God is the first keyboard and mouse player to be listed in this video. Panther knows a lot about the game. He's a very smart player, but he has a very slow playstyle. That being said though, he has an insane accomplishment this year, and that is a TDM double Moab. That gameplay alone leads me to place him within the top 10, and I have him here at the number 9 spot. At the number 8 spot, we have Sir Deduction. Deduction's just another well-rounded player. He has really good accuracy, his map knowledge is top tier, and he's Moabbed some very big names this year. He just recently started uploading to YouTube this year, and he already has a double Moab featured, as well as Moabs against competition. So for those reasons, I have him here at the number 8 spot. At the number 7 spot, we have It's Knives. Knives is pretty well known within the community for being very tough against good competition. Over the years, he's Moabbed some really good players within the community, and he has some great accomplishments as well. On his YouTube channel, he has a featured 77 second Moab in 6v6, which I think is very impressive. It's definitely worthy of his number 7 spot here on this list. At the number 6 spot, we have Sir Sweaty. Sweaty's the brother of Deduction, but unlike Deduction, he's on keyboard and mouse. Deduction is on controller. With that keyboard and mouse, Sweaty has laser beam accuracy and an aggressive playstyle to match. He's a force to go against. I know this year he has some triple fails, and I think pretty soon we will see a triple from him. So shout out to Sweaty, he is our number 6 spot here on this list. Alright, we're getting close to the big names. We are at the top 5, but we're going to take a second to give some recognition to a couple players that almost made this list. This is the best console list that I've made in the years that I've done this. So if you are an honorable mention listed today, you should be proud of the gameplays that you have. Also, like I said earlier on, this list is just my opinion. So these people and other people's opinions might be deserving of a spot on this list. They just fell short for me. And those 5 players that I'm going to list are Enemy MCLA, Trom, Swab, Fuse Rockstar, and Marquez. Alright, with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the number 5 spot, which is Kezki. So Kezki's been a top player for a long time. He's been featured on quite a few of these lists, but now he actually has a triple Moab to boast. And honestly, Kez might be higher if he played for more than like a couple weeks at a time. He is really consistent when he does play though. He's Moabbed a lot of the top players on the game, and that's why I have him at the number 5 spot. At the number 4 spot, we have Upress Leave. Leave is known for his connection to the old STB clan. He's really just dominates good competition. He's one of the few people that I never like to play just because he always has sit rep, and his playstyle is really hard to go against, but he's got a lot of good gameplays under his belt, and he's very consistent, so that's why I have him at the number 4 spot. Moving down to the big 3, at the number 3 spot, we have Swarms. So Swarms is a multi-platform player, and with that, he has a triple on all 3 of the platforms. He started out back in the day using Zim, got a triple on Zim on PlayStation 3. He moved to natural keyboard and mouse on PC, got a triple on natural keyboard and mouse input. And then now this year on Xbox, he has a triple on controller. He also, I think, has a triple on controller for PS3, but this was his first triple on Xbox. And with that gameplay, I have him here at our number 3 spot. Moving along to our number 2 spot, we have Desirous. So Desirous is known for his connection to the old STB clan. STB being simply the best. They honestly were the best clan from 2018 onward, pretty much. Desirous had a claim to fame for having some of the most 100+ gameplays on the game. And in his return back to Modern Warfare 3 this year, he has a triple in 9v9 and a handful of 6v6 double Moabs. For those reasons, he's going to be the number 2 spot here on the list. Alright guys, the grand finale. We have read 14 names. Some of you guys know who's coming up next, but we have our number 1 spot, and that goes out to Jickers. In the first year that I ever made one of these lists, it was 2020, I infamously said you have to be careful saying his name, but also staying in his game. That is more true now than ever before. Zay has always been a great player, but this year he elevated his game to another level. This year he has a 6v6 triple and a solo TDM double. He's consistent, smart, accurate, and aggressive every time he turns on his Xbox. None of the sweats in this community are safe against Zay, and that is why he's my number 1 for this year's list. So that is going to wrap up this year's list. I feel like I've been talking for 45 years recording this. I hope you guys go on to enjoy. If you did, please click the like button. I would absolutely love that. The next thing, if I messed up and I missed somebody, comment it down below. I would love to keep continuing these lists. In the future, I could potentially do a PlayStation list. I've never officially done a PlayStation Top 10. And there's also Pluto, which unfortunately is a dying platform, but I can still do those 2 platforms next year or some other time. Let me know if you want to see them. Alright, that's enough yapping from me. I'm out of here. See you guys.